you have far too many corporate clients tell you that they'll think about it, then this is the training you want to watch. You want to make sure that you save it, because the things I'm going to share in this very short training will immediately change the speed and the cadence with which you convert dream corporate clients from yeah, maybe we're interested, we need to discuss that, into okay, what are your offers? What are your terms? When can we start? These are exactly the points I'm going to cover here, because here is a thing. Dear entrepreneurs, dear coach, dear expert, you have been lied to. You have been told that selling to corporates takes weeks and weeks on end, months, sometimes years, and that they always will need an incredible long time before they even consider hiring you, that you need to nurture them, that you need to give up front. And you know what? That is a lie. Because yes, corporate sales, particularly for larger packages, for multi 5 and 6 figures, they do take more than a day, and they're very unlikely to happen in the first conversation that you have, but they do not need to take many months. And when clients tell you that they need to think about it, there is something else going on. And I'm going to share my knowledge, the knowledge that I have gained as a former CFO, as somebody who sat in gazillion of boardrooms, both as a consultant and as a board member. So I was part of the decision making group. I'm going to share with you exactly what goes on behind the scenes and how buying decisions are really made. Because the truth is, the hard truth is, that if you're hearing we need to think about it, they didn't really need more time, and they didn't really need more information, so you really don't need to keep nurturing, and they didn't need all that pushing. So please don't try online FOMO type tactics. That does not work. What they really need is to feel the cost of doing nothing. They need to feel that doing nothing is very expensive and actually risky for them. Because if they don't feel that, if they don't feel what it costs them not doing something, if it seems like an option to do something, then they will stall forever. Then they will take all the time on the earth to actually say yes to you. So I'm going to break down in this training exactly why corporates delay decisions and how to make them move right now. You see, so many of you think that corporate buyers make logical decisions. And I'm laughing because, having sat in those boardrooms, having been in those meetings where it was discussed, are we going to hire this consultancy? Are we going to hire that coach? I know that the decisions are rarely made just based on logic. But far too many of you think that the way corporates approach buying is all logical. And you believe that if the value is clear, then the decision will follow. But inside the boardrooms, decisions don't happen just because something makes sense. If it did, we would all be flat out with corporate works every single hour of the day, right? And that's not how it works. You see, corporate buyers, corporate decisions makers, they don't hire because they understand your expertise or because they like you. You know, that whole know, like, and trust factor? Not nearly as important as people make it out. They don't even buy because they need it. I know, right? You can see that they need it, We all know that they need it. They need your work, and that's still not enough for them to buy. They will buy when they feel that the pressure to act, to take a step, to move is greater than the risk of standing still. And if your positioning, the way how you present your work, how you talk about your work, your messaging, if your messaging does not create that feeling of pressure, then you're really just an option that they'll circle back later. And let's face it, that later never happens. Now, don't get this twisted. Don't get this twisted. This is not a call to, put on pressure and use hard push sales tactics. They're a big turnoff because nobody likes to be hard sold to. And corporates are wise, corporate decision makers, they're not stupid. They can see through the old-fashioned hard sell type tactics a mile off. Nobody likes them. Nobody wants them. It's an immediate turnoff. So you have to actually use your skills to create pressure. And I'm saying it deliberately in inverted commas because it is not the traditional type of pressure, 100% not, but you have to create a certain urgency so that they will take that next step. Because we've all been there, right? You had a great call, they were engaged, maybe they nodded and they said, oh yeah, that's exactly what we need. And then silence. No response to your emails. They're telling you, oh yeah, we're still discussing this internally. And this can happen to anybody. In fact, it happened to me just last week, but I knew how to turn it around because here are 3 things that I don't do in those situations, and I want you to stop doing that as well. First up, most coaches, consultants in that kind of situation think that, oh, maybe the timing is wrong. It's not. It's not. It's your messaging. And you might believe that maybe the budgets isn't there. If you've been in my world for 2 minutes, you know that that's always a lie. Budgets are there when the positioning and the messaging are right. I also know that many consultants assume that, oh, if you just follow up correctly, if you do your 17 to 200 touch points, then the deal will move forward. But the reality is that deals die the moment when your corporate client doesn't feel that there is enough of an impetus, enough of a pull to move now embedded in your deal, when there isn't urgency as part of that conversation. As I said, it's a fine line because we're not talking FOMO kind of urgency, the fake type of urgency that you create online. Total turn off, doesn't work. Corporates will not care if you give them an added bonus or, give them a 50% discount or anything. No, those are not the kind of urgency movers. You need to instead position your offer not just as valuable, but optional. What you really need to do is create the sense that they discover the urgency. Because what really drives corporate decisions is not budgets. Nope. No. Budgets are always flexible. It's not timing because, seriously, decisions, priorities shift overnight. The amount of times I have been in boardrooms where you had an agreed direction and all the budgets were set for something, and then a great idea came up or a new project came up or a new strategy was designed on the fly and all the priorities shifted. So it is not time. It's also not logic. As we said, if logic drove decisions, gosh, Have you ever been on the inside of a corporate organization? If you have, you will know they are nowhere near as organized and as neat and tidy in everything that they do as it might look like from the outside, from their fancy web page. So the real drivers is that pull towards a solution that happens in the boardroom, and that gives them then two options. So inside that decision making room, inside that boardroom, they have two options. They can solve the problem now and they're pulled towards that solution, or they can ignore it and just hope that it won't cost them much later. That is where your job comes in, because your job in that situation is help to establish that pull towards the future. As I say, this is not the old style hard selling tactics where you say, oh, it'll cost you so much more. No. We have to be much more elegant and much more collaborative with the client to work out, to develop that pull towards a solution. That means that in this situation, your job is not to explain your value. It is to position your work inside the problem so that they can't afford to ignore it anymore. And then when you do that, what happens? Budgets appear, timelines shift, decisions happen immediately. So this is what I don't do in corporate sales conversations. I don't list out all the benefits of my work. Sure, I show them the value of the work by giving them a flavor of the business, but I don't go and list a huge long list of benefits like, oh, and you have better communication and you'll have more engagement and you have less absenteeism and you have more attraction in the talent pool and you have more productivity and you have more better decision making and you have more innovation and you have Oh my gosh, I'm exhausted just listing all of this. I don't do that. I don't list all the benefits that my work will bring them. And I don't try to prove that they need to hire me to solve anything. I help them make educated decisions. And as I said, I don't push urgency like a marketeer, ever. So what I do instead is I put the biggest problem on the table, which I know because we have literally just talked about it. We have literally just discussed what the biggest problem is, and I put it out on the table, and then I share with them a number of ways how they can solve those problems. Always tied to really tangible results, by the way, not fluffy, oh, we can help you, we can solve your people problems. Like, no. We can help you increase your employee satisfaction so that they stay and you don't lose more money on having to recruit new and train new staff by 20%. So I link them back to very, very tangible results, and I give them a range of ways of how they can do that. And that is the way how I allow them, not me, but allow them to create the pull towards a solution, because it puts them in charge. It gives them the feeling of certainty because they can weigh up different options, and it makes the cost of waiting very clear, because with these options they know that they can take small steps, they can take big steps, and they can see exactly what will happen in these different scenarios. And that means that they don't need to go away and spend months thinking about it, but actually they feel confident in themselves and certain in me to make decisions in a much, much shortened timeline. So my call to you is to stop. Yes, stop, because it's not your work that's the problem. It's not the expertise that's the problem. It's not your pricing that is the problem. It is your positioning and how you guide your corporate clients towards that solution, how you create that pull so that they feel the need to move and that they realize that not moving is going to cost them more than moving. That is exactly the type of work that we are doing inside the boardroom. Just today in the coaching call, we discussed how my clients can do that with their corporate clients. And when you are ready to start leading corporate buyers towards a faster decision to create that pull towards their goal, then it is time for you to come into my world. The best place is no doubt the boardroom, because it is the most incredible program with hands-on support, bi-weekly detailed coaching calls where everybody gets all their questions answered, not one of these calls with hundreds of people where, maybe 3 people get some coaching. No, everybody gets coaching, plus access to a private Telegram group where you get all your questions answered in between calls, where we have conversations where people share amazing results, like my client who just casually signed 3 contracts in the last couple of weeks, as you do, and where we come together to celebrate as well as moving your progress forward. I love to speak to you about coming into the boardroom or into one of my signature programs. So make sure that you drop boardroom below or send me a DM and we can have a chat and I can send you all the details. Excited? See you soon.